Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at part 2 of our video about a compressed air engine. Just a quick review from part 1 from the first video. This is our engine. It has a cylinder and it has a piston. And the piston moves up and down in the cylinder like that. Compressed air enters and leaves the cylinder through this hose at the top of the cylinder. When compressed air enters the cylinder, it pushes down on the piston. When the compressed air leaves the cylinder, these two green rubber bands here pull the piston back up, like that. So what we get when the engine is running is this back and forth lateral motion of the piston here. And what we want to do is to convert this back and forth lateral motion into rotary motion by having the engine turn this worry spinner here. So in order to make our engine turn the worry spinner, we have to connect the piston of the engine to the worry spinner, and we do this with this little connector here. I guess you could call it a connecting rod if you wanted to. This is a very high-tech piece of equipment, and what you'll notice about it is that there is a slot cut in the connector. Now this slot being there is very, very important in order to make this whole thing work correctly. And this all has to do with the motion of the engine, specifically the piston. Now, you notice we have a little rubber stopper here. What this does is it controls the length of the stroke of the piston. So when the piston moves down on its power stroke, it hits this little rubber stopper and stops. Now at this point, the piston is stopped completely. It has zero momentum. It doesn't take long. If you look at it on the video, it's a very brief period of time, but it does happen. And then what happens is on the upstroke or the return stroke, the rubber bands, the two green rubber bands, change the direction of the piston 180 degrees and pull it back up to the top like this. And then again at the top we have the same situation. The piston comes to a complete stop, has zero momentum, and when the power stroke starts, we have a 180 degree change of direction and the piston moves down again. So it's this sudden start-stop motion of the engine and the 180 degree change in direction that makes it necessary for us to put this slot in our connector here. To illustrate, I'm going to start with a more standard connector. This connector does not have a slot in it. Instead, it just has a hole at each end of the connection. So I'm going to connect this to our wheel. And I'm going to play the part of the piston. So the piston starts on its downstroke, on its power stroke. It pushes on the wheel in a circular motion and gives it momentum. Now, when the piston reaches the bottom of its stroke, it stops. The wheel also stops. There is no momentum in either the piston or in the wheel. And there is no energy that wants to keep the wheel moving in the circular motion that we're after. Instead, what happens is on the upstroke or the return stroke, the piston will pull on the wheel and take it back along the same path that it just traveled. And instead of a nice 360 degree circular motion, what we end up with is a bunch of 180 degree semicircles, which is what we don't want. So what we did to get around this problem was to cut a slot in the connector where it attaches to the wheel. And let me show you how that works. Okay, just like before, the piston is going to start on its downstroke or its power stroke, and it's going to push on the wheel and get it moving in a circular motion, giving it momentum. However, this time, when the piston reaches the bottom of its stroke, the piston stops moving, but the wheel continues to move. See how the bolt slides through the slot here? That allows the wheel to maintain the momentum we gave it and continue on its circular path. Like that. And it'll end up somewhere over here. Then what happens on the return stroke or the upstroke is the wheel will either fall back into its original position or it will be pulled back by the connector. So, thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed watching our compressed air engine turn wheel, or a worry spinner in this case. We'll be back later with more videos about compressed air engines. Thank you again.